Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is stacked with Easter eggs, new characters and heartbreaking emotional moments, but numerous scenes and characters still wound up on the cutting room floor. Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, it's Jan here, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down a ton of incredible concept art which features alternate designs and characters we never got to see in Guardians Volume 2. And I'll also be analysing all the scenes and characters that were deleted from the final cut. A quick reminder that my Guardians of the Galaxy giveaway is still running, so be sure to leave a comment about the movie and subscribe for a chance to win, and I'll provide more details at the end of the video. Obviously, spoilers lie ahead for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. If you haven't seen the movie yet, you can tap in the top right for my spoiler-free review and come back here after you've seen the film. In Volume 2, to differentiate Mantis from Gamora, James Gunn decided not to give the new character green skin, which he often has in the comics. However, various pieces of concept art for Mantis show a green-skinned Mantis was definitely considered at one point, with reds, blues, purples and many other shades also considered. The antennae for Mantis in the concept art are also a bit more bug-like, and her costumes are more detailed than the final smooth costume that Mantis ended up with. In fact, according to visual effects supervisor Chris Townsend, they adopted a very subtle approach when it came to using CGI to enhance Mantis's look. Townsend said that Mantis is supposed to be bug-like, so we talked about larger eyes, strange mandibles and various prosthetics. And we played around with lots of different ideas, but we eventually ended up realising that Pom's performance is so beautiful and subtle that all we really needed to do was put the antennae on her head and give her black irises to give her more of a bug feeling. Marvel's visual development team for Volume 2 also considered many options for the look of Ego before settling on his final form. His uniqueness as a character meant that everything from his human appearance to his ship and his planet needed to all work together. Visual development supervisor Andy Park says that ideas for Ego's human form range from a swashbuckling pirate to a gunslinging cowboy to more organic earthy looks. In the end, they went for a space frontiersman mixed with a little bit of western, which seemed to fit well with his final role in the movie. So for Ego's costume, designer Judiana Makovsky used many layers of different leathers that were laser etched or dyed to give them what she called a sort of medieval or Renaissance detail. As for Ego's planet, that's home to a couple of deleted scenes, and in the first one, just after the Guardians arrive there, Ego shows Peter a statue he made of Star-Lord and his friends. Director James Gunn said it was a really great joke, but he ended up cutting it because it didn't move the plot along. And inside Ego's palace, there was another cut scene where Ego shifted the appearance of a whole room. In the scene, the wall panels reformed into a type of sand mural that showed various touching moments from Peter's life, such as time he spent with his mother and scenes of him bonding with Yondu and Groot. Like the statue scene, this was another way for Ego to show how he admired Peter and had been taking an interest in his son throughout his life. Something we didn't get to see in the final movie was the Sovereign's envoy robots. These seem to be a kind of soldier robot which is piloted remotely by the Sovereign people, in a similar way to how they operated their golden drones remotely when they attacked the Guardians in space. It's interesting to speculate on what scenes these robots could have been involved in. Perhaps, for example, they were part of some backstory involving the problems the Sovereign had with the Annulax batteries. What we do know for sure about the Envoy robots, however, is that according to visual development artist Rodney Fuentebella, their design mixes the gold colouring of the Sovereign race with an homage to the look of B-movie alien robots. Nathan Fillion has been a regular in many of James Gunn's previous films, including Slither, Super, and the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, where he voiced the monstrous inmate at the Kiln prison who threatened Peter Quill until Groot took matters into his own hands. As for Guardians Volume 2, there was an extended scene set on Earth that had the Firefly star appear in what was likely going to be a funny Easter egg style cameo. Set photos indicate there were scenes filmed of a Simon Williams film festival where Nathan Fillion appeared as the actor Simon Williams on posters at the festival. The scene would have been filled with Easter eggs because Simon Williams is actually a character from the comics who's been an actor, a supervillain and a superhero, and who's also known as Wonder Man. On top of that, pictures of the posters from the set suggest that the films showing at the festival were going to be spoofs of some well-known movies. For example, there was Dead Before Arrival, a riff on the poster for Inception. Oh Rebecca, which looks like a spoof of the rom-com Definitely Maybe, which starred Ryan Reynolds. Haxan 2, that looks like the poster for the Daniel Radcliffe movie Horns, and Tony Stark, which clearly takes its inspiration from Danny Boyle's biopic of Steve Jobs. And during those missing Earth sequences, there was going to be a longer scene with Grandpa Quill, in which, according to an interview with Collider, James Gunn said there would be even more Easter eggs than the scenes in the Collector's Museum in the first Guardians movie. Grandpa Quill did appear very briefly in a car pushed along by the Blob. But Gunn drastically cut the Earth scenes, losing most of Grandpa Quill plus numerous other cameos by friends of the director. Another planned cameo which sadly didn't happen was by David Bowie. During Volume 2's development, both Kevin Feige and James Gunn had reached out to see if they could get a cameo with the singer, and at one point it was looking hopeful. Gunn had also secured the rights to use another of Bowie's songs in Volume 2 after having already used Moon Age Daydream in the first film. However, the news suddenly broke that Bowie had died, which gutted Gunn as he was a huge fan of the musical legend. And unfortunately, the scene in which Gunn planned to use the Bowie track was also cut, so we never got to hear it in the final film. There was also a major character Gunn initially planned to use in Volume 2, but he was removed from the final script. That character was Adam Warlock, who Gunn told Slashfilm was one of his favourite characters and was going to be a big part of Volume 2. However, the director felt there were too many characters in the screenplay, so he decided to lose Warlock instead of deleting Mantis, who he felt was more organically part of the movie. At least we still got that lovely tease for Adam Warlock in the end credits scene with Aisha, and if you want to find out about the importance of Adam Warlock's role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward, tap the top right of the screen to watch a video I made all about that. There were also a few jokes teased in trailers and promo material that didn't make it into the final movie. For example, there was a great I am Groot moment from the trailer in the death button scene with Rocket, which I was sorry not to see in the final cut.
You have an atomic bomb in your bag. If anybody's gonna have tape, it's you! I have to do everything! You are wasting a lot of time!
That's a really bad sign.
And James Gunn also shared a funny deleted scene of the team eating around a campfire, with Drax slurping noisily to everyone else's disgust.
Dude. What? Dude. What?
Many consider Baby Groot to be a real scene stealer, and there's some concept art of the little tree that's very likely to make you love him even further. Concept artist Josh Herman has released some very cute artwork, including a baby Groot crying with a milk bottle, Groot with a toy rocket raccoon, and another with the toddler unraveling Peter Quill's Awesome Mixtape Volume 1. There's also some great concept art of CONTRAXIA, the icy planet where the Ravagers go to party, which shows us parts of the planet we didn't get to see in the film. In the artwork by Craig Sellers, you can see a kind of giant love robot submerged in a frozen lake with a railway running through, and there's also what look like various industrial installations in the background. And there were also some interesting alternative designs considered for the look of the love bots on CONTRAXIA, until the final design was settled on, which was inspired by Fritz Lang's film Metropolis. The many-tentacled obelisk was a new monster introduced to the MCU in Volume 2. However, some early designs of the creature show the beast with feet and multiple tails rather than tentacles. By the way, inspiration for the obelisk seems to come from the comic book Cancerverse, and if you're interested in finding out more about that, you can tap in the top right where I talk about it in my Volume 2 Easter egg video. The Ravager clans were united by the end of the movie under STAKAR, in a nice end credits teaser for Volume 3. Initially, STAKAR's design was going to be more alien-like, as you can see from this concept art by Rodney Fuentebella. However, once Sylvester Stallone was cast in the role, the filmmakers didn't want to hide his presence under a lot of prosthetics or CGI, so focus turned instead to modifying the character's costume rather than his face. For example, STAKAR's energy wings that come from his comic book character were initially placed on his head, until it was thought this looked too strange, so they were relocated to his shoulders. Other members of STAKAR's team include MAINFRAME, who in the movie is basically a metal head that talks and is voiced by none other than Miley Cyrus. The challenge for MAINFRAME's design was to come up with a head that could then plug into other robots or objects for her to control. Various alternative designs were considered for MAINFRAME's head before settling on the final one we see in the Volume 2 end credits scene. The design of Martinex, the crystal-faced alien played by Michael Rosenbaum, was particularly difficult as the reflections and refractions of the light from the crystals caused various issues, so some smoother and differently shaped heads were tried before settling on his final look. For the appearance of the worm-like Krugar, Gunn wanted to ensure a comic book style look, and the designers kept his connection to Doctor Strange with his hand gestures and use of glyphs. An alternate design for the character has him looking more blinged up and kinda creepier, although clearly this design didn't make it into the final film. And not content with just 5 post-credit scenes, Gunn nearly included a 6th scene, which would have featured the Ravager Jeff, one of Taserface's mutineers. In the final movie, Jeff died when Yondu's arrow killed him while he was drinking a glass of beer. However, in a deleted end credits scene, Jeff was going to pop up again when Gamora and Mantis suddenly hear screaming on the ship. They discover that Jeff has been on the ship all along and is mortally wounded. In the end, James Gunn said the scene felt confusing and didn't make a lot of sense, and that's why it was cut. During one of the jump scenes, there was a nice tease for the Kronan character Korg, who will be appearing in Thor Ragnarok. But concept art for the scene shows that originally the design for the planet they were fighting on was somewhat more detailed and included huge stone heads, hands and feet in the background. I guess the planet's look was simplified in the end so we could focus on the two fighting Kronans in the super brief scene. Now we've got to talk about that ending in Volume 2 and just how sad Yondu's heroic death was. In fact, that wasn't how the movie was going to end originally, and in an interview with Uproxx, James Gunn said that he didn't want that to be the ending and refused to put it in for a long time. And actually, if you think back to the first Guardians movie, Peter was rescued after he went into space to save Gamora from a similar fate. So could there have been a way for Rocket to rescue both Peter and Yondu in Volume 2? Although I was very sad to lose Yondu, it felt like it was a strong move for the film and the MCU in general. Indeed, Gunn has defended his decision to do this, saying that we need to have real stakes in these movies, we need to lose characters, and not everyone who sees Marvel movies loves that. By the way, now that we've seen the film, did you notice how in the very first teaser trailer Gunn foreshadowed Yondu's tragic death with that shot of spacesuits for emergency or for fun? So do you think it was a good decision for Yondu to die at the end of Volume 2, and were there any deleted scenes or characters you wish had been left in the movie? And what would you like to see in Volume 3? Be sure to comment about the movie and subscribe for a chance to win these prizes in my giveaway. They include 2 awesome hardback books from DK, Guardians of the Galaxy: The Ultimate Guide to the Cosmic Outlaws, which takes an in-depth look at iconic characters, issues and storylines from the comics. And I've also got a selection of 3 cool Guardians Funko Pop vinyl figures. Turn on your notifications to get all my new videos where I'll be announcing the winners. And if you enjoyed this video, do hit that thumbs up button and check out more of my Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Marvel videos right here. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!